Now that we're over at our map, we're going to expand it so that it fills the screen. So we're just going to, much like you would in Word or PowerPoint, expand the size of an image. You just click on the corner little squares until you get that little sideways arrow, and you open it up, and so you notice it makes the image larger without expanding that map size. So it's keeping that extent we talked about a few moments ago. One thing I wanted to note, it didn't do it too much, but you will start seeing this more as we work with more complex data sets. Sometimes it can take a while to, it's called what's draw the map. So you might notice there being a little bit of blinking, a little bit of flashing as you resize things. That's because the software and the computer is having to do what's called redraw. And redraw literally means it's redrawing and recalculating all of the coordinates and the scale of everything. Because when we do things like insert the scale bar, it will actually, like, of course, literally reflect the scale of what we're seeing there. But it has to do all of the background calculations to ensure that that is reflecting what we see. Okay, so now we're on step 3 on page 17. We're going to insert a north arrow. So just, again, make sure we're on layout view. We are. I always like to double check that because sometimes you manage to navigate out of it and you're like, nothing works. Okay, so we're on layout. It's highlighted. Let's go up to map surrounds, and we're going to click on that north arrow button. If you were to actually click on the little drop down arrow, you could select the north arrow you want. If you just click on it, it's going to give you a default. And much like the when we inserted the map frame initially, you actually have to click on the map to sort of initialize the selection you've made. So the north arrow popped up, and I'm going to drag it down to the lower left. Now we're going to add a scale. So same thing, I'm just going to click the scale bar icon and click on the map, and voila, we're going to move that down. You need to add a legend, so we're going to add a legend. Okay, again, back up at the top here to the right of scale bar is legend. So click on legend, click on the map, and there we go. So one thing to note, the legend, when you create it, will pull literally from the table of contents what the title of these different layers are and what these different things mean. So as we're going to go into the next step, we're going to actually edit the text we see there. It says place the legend in the top right corner. So you'll kind of sense as you do this that things will snap into place along border lines. So that's fine for now. Sometimes you might not want that, and we'll be working on editing that in the future. Sorry, just getting that snapped in there. Okay. You need to change the layer label and field label to look a little nicer in the legends and be more descriptive. So this is step 6. To do this, expand the map frame item in the contents pane. So this is what we're talking about over here, the map frame item. Perform a slow double click on USA_states_generalized and change it to states. So we're talking about this one here. So I'm clicking once and click twice, and there we go. You could also right click and go through to rename it, but this is just the easier way. It's just to do a slow right click. And I just fill it in, call it states, and press enter. Then we're going to do it to the pop10_square mile and change it to population per square mile. So right underneath it, same thing, click, slow click. What was that? Population per square mile. Enter. So you can see it changed it over on the legend immediately. Okay, turn the page. We're on page 18. Finally, you need a title. To create one, click the text icon in the Insert ribbon. Text icon. I always get this one confused. Okay, I took a quick pause because I was actually having trouble locating the symbol tab, and I did a little playing around with my the extent, so to speak, of my Arc Pro window, and it changed things on my ribbon bar. So where it says text, it looks a little more clear because what it describes in the book is exactly that, an AA with symbol. but it looked different on my previous one. So anyway, this is what we're supposed to click to put in the title. So we click symbol and the drop down. And in the book, they specify to select text type, which is called title, large, sans serif. Down on this window that pops up, we see samples of all the different kinds of text types they have available. If you hit more, you can actually see it in a sort of a different user interface. But on here, we just scroll all the way down to where it says layout and then click on title sans serif. As usual, if you float over it, you see the actual full name of it open up. But we're going to click on it, and what we'll do now is go to our map and open up a text box. Okay, back to it. Sorry for that little pause again. For some reason I was having more difficulty with this, but here we go. Symbol, select the title large sans serif, and all right, let's try this one more time. I don't know why I'm having issues with this working properly. Symbol, layout, title sans serif, go to our map, and we see we have the crosshairs, the little A. That means our text box is active. So we just click on the map and then text box opens up. And on the right hand side where we have the catalog and symbology and element, the text field opens up. So we can actually type it into that white box, or you can just do it directly on the map. So she asks us here in the directions to title this 2010 population density by state. So 2010 population density by state. And obviously we have to open this up. For it to show up. Oh, I know why. I was like, why is it doing that? It's because... Oh. I made that way too big. Okay. There we go. So really, all we're doing now is centering everything. If you want to try and replicate exactly what they show in the book, you can do that. That would involve shrinking down this a little bit, centering it, moving the legend in a little bit, moving this onto the map, moving the scale bar and the arrow, and just centering this a little more. Okay, so this is the end of the tutorial for the map in chapter 1. So this just gives you a little taste of what goes into creating a map, from the data map, the data section, all the way to the layout. There's a lot of other elements in here, obviously, that you have yet to learn about, but for now, this should get you through that first activity, and I hope you don't have as much trouble with that text insertion as I just did, which totally baffles me why it was so difficult, but it's not that hard. So thanks a lot, and I will move on to chapter 2 here.